we just look for confirming evidence and we become more and more convinced in our point of view. Whereas, in order to be successful, you should look for opposing views, because there's so many times that you would be wrong about something. And if you still doubt this point, try to think about something in your life that you were so convinced it was true until you found out that it was wrong. I have multiple occasions. I've felt so many times that it gave me so much humility. And it keeps me open-minded because I realize that I've already been wrong so many times, and I want to at least to have an open mind. Welcome everyone to LifewithLiza podcast. Our mission at LifewithLiza is to share people's stories and the challenges that they have overcome, so that those who are listening in can get the strength, the courage, and the hope to be their better selves. Today we have a special edition episode. Welcome to another one of those. And I'm so grateful to have you here, and I love having this audience of the people who just cannot wait to become their better selves and they're ready to do the work. So I'm happy to have you here. And today I wanted to talk about 3 skills/traits that actually help me a lot in life to become more and more successful. And they are also largely underrated, because they're very simple. Number 1, an identity of a learner. I decided some time ago, and I think it was inspired by watching Impact Theory and listening to Tom Bilyeu, that the best identity that you can have is that of a learner. Because if your identity is tied to being right or anything else, it's very hard to get better, because once you start, most likely you're not good at that's something that you started, and most likely you have a lot to learn, and most likely, in most cases, you will not be right, and most likely there will be people who are better at that than you are. Let's say even creating the podcast for me, there are so many people out there who have been doing this for years, for decades, and they're so much better at it than I am. And it would be so arrogant of me to assume that I'll be right most of the times, or that I have nothing to learn. So by accepting the identity of a learner, I know that there's so much for me to learn, and I accept that most of the times I will not be right, but I will not even feel bad about me being right or not right in a certain case. I will feel bad or good about me based on whether I have learned something, whether I have moved forward, whether I've achieved some progress. So that's the identity of the learner, where you base how you feel about yourself based on what you learned. And you just accept the fact that there will be always people out there who know something that you don't. And this has been so crucial for me in my life, because man, whenever I tried to do something, even when you join a new project at a consulting firm, you know nothing. You just need to accept that you'll be the dumbest person in the room for some time. And so often we just don't pursue opportunities because we fear being the dumbest person in the room, and we fear that we'll not be right or our ideas would be stupid, and it could be the case. But if you embrace the learner mentality, put yourself out there and learn, don't repeat the same mistake more than once, then you'll make so much progress. And that swiftly moves us to the second point, which is so important in the mixture of success that I've been following. And I'm not saying that I'm very successful yet, but I just wanted to share what has been working for me so far. So the second thing is actually taking your learnings and putting them into action. I see so many people who have read so many books, but they didn't really embody it. They have the information, but they don't live through it. But then if someone reads a book and doesn't apply it, it's the same as they never read the book. So that's something that I have been implementing in my own life is whenever I read a book, I always think a few things that I can take away from that book and start implementing in my life right now. Probably if I learned it, it would be something that I would try out the same day. And I want to incorporate in my life, and I want to try and see if it works for me. And I think that has been the biggest turning point in my life, when I started gradually taking on the learnings from different books and actually implementing it in my life little by little. And then you can see a tremendous difference in your life in the course of a few years, because everything compounds. All the positive habits that you incorporate, all of them compound. And I think also, before we move on to the third point, I just wanted to say that put yourself out there, put yourself there in the uncomfortable situations. Not only know all of these things, but actually do, because it's hard to put it into words, but you really have to do, not only learn, and you will learn so much more if you do than if you just learn. So take your learner mentality, your identity of a learner as your bulletproof vest for your ego, and just go out there and try to get also the practical knowledge, try to implement it in your life, and you'll see how the plethora of knowledge and the plethora of opportunities that will be just in front of you. And then the third point, this third skill / trait / behavior is being open-minded. And I think this is largely underestimated these days. What I mean by open-minded is listening out to different opinions out there. And I think for me, it was for the last couple of years, I was following a vegetarian diet, but I was always still listening out to the interviews and podcasts about various diets. I wanted to have an open mind. I didn't want to always listen only to the interviews or to the information out there that confirms my point of view. Because what if my point of view is not the best one? How will I know that there's something different that I can do if I only listen to the confirming evidence? And this is actually from my economics studies. I remember this is a very typical behavioral mistake that lots of humans make. We just look for confirming evidence and we become more and more convinced in our point of view. Whereas, in order to be successful, you should look for opposing views, because there's so many times that you would be wrong about something. And if you still doubt this point, try to think about something in your life that you were so convinced it was true until you found out that it was wrong. I have multiple occasions. I've felt so many times that it gave me so much humility. And it keeps me open-minded, because I realize that I've already been wrong so many times. And I want to at least to have an open mind and to reach out and to seek out those different opinions, so that they can either improve my point of view and make it even stronger, my argument, or they can change it. And to be very open-minded to change and to being wrong, I feel like has served me so well. And the last point to being open-minded that I also wanted to mention is that I feel like a lot these days is either black or white. So you're either for something or against something. But it's not always the case. I think we start forgetting about the gray area in between. So for example, you cannot always say that a vegetarian diet or a non-vegetarian diet is better. It could be that for some person it really works very well and for someone else it doesn't. And it could be that maybe for that person works so well in a certain season of life, but it doesn't in another season of their life. It's not that black and white. And I feel like we try to simplify so many ideas these days that we overlook this beautiful area, the gray area, where it's not that simple. And life is not that simple, and we try to simplify it with our human minds, which is just another human behavior that is so typical for us. And so I wanted to encourage you to listen out for the contrary opinions to yours, to listen out to the people maybe whose opinions you don't really like, but just to see if you can take away something from them. And it will serve you so greatly into becoming the better version of you and helping you become a more successful version of you. So let's summarize. I mentioned 3 points that have helped me so far. First one, the identity of a learner helps so much to put yourself out there as a learner because your ego doesn't get hurt as much. And second point, actually do the things. Don't only learn things and forget about them, actually do them. Put yourself out there. You'll learn 10x as much. The third point, keep an open mind. Listen out to the opinions that are opposite of yours. You'll learn so much. Don't be that rigid about life. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I see you in the episode tomorrow. Oh, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Love you.